Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Women in Math and STEM, where our mission is to reach out to as many professionals, aspiring professionals, students, whatever you name it. We try to reach out to them, essentially support the initiative of bringing more women and young girls into the STEM field. So, with that being said, as always, feel free to open up the description or transcript to better follow along, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hello, and thank you so much for being able to make it to this episode today and speaking with me. Just to sort of start off, do you mind sort of briefly introducing yourself as well as sort of telling us what really inspired you to study electrical engineering and sort of how your journey was like and how eventually you ended up where you are today?
Yeah, sure. My name is Evelyn. I'm a current freshman at the University of Pennsylvania, and I'm studying electrical engineering. I'm a hardware engineer for Penn's electric racing team, and I also do research in the modular robotics lab here. Other than that, I'm also involved in our community as a software developer for Hack for Impact, which is a Penn club that basically builds software solutions for local nonprofits. I also enjoy exploring cafes, arts, and crafts, I guess. As to what led me to studying electrical engineering, in high school, I did a lot of robotics, and I felt really drawn to both the software side and the electrical side of it. So that just sort of led me straight into electrical engineering. So yeah.
Sounds good. I've also noticed you've had experience working as a research assistant at the ModLab at the Grasp Lab, and sort of I was just wondering what the experience was like, what it maybe like a typical day looks like, as well as what specific projects you've worked on.
Yeah, sure. So ModLab stands for Modular Robotics Lab. Um, Grasp Lab, I low-key do not know what it stands for, but it's a pretty big robotics lab at Penn. Currently, I'm a research assistant. So every week we put in like give or take 10 to 15 hours to working. Um, and sometimes we'll have to take a bus to go in person in ModLab, which is located in the engineering research and collaboration hub. And sometimes I'll have to like get parts or work in that lab. Um, but I typically spend like 3 to 5 hours in a campus-owned lab space working on the projects, either like wiring things up, or coding modules and that sort of thing. As for specific projects that I'm working on, currently I'm on this project called CHAMPS, which stands for Conforming highly articulated multi-purpose snake. And it's basically a robotic arm with a bunch of tiny little connector pieces. We call them modules. That's why the lab is called ModLab. And the reason why this robot arm is so special is because it's going to be really flexible, meaning that I can have like snake-like movements in the 3D space. And it does this by being under actuated, so having as little motors and electronics as possible. And that sounds kind of like a paradox because I'm like electrical engineering and I'm working on this project, but my goal is like finding a non-electronic way of making that happen. So yeah.
That sounds really cool. I was just wondering also, like, when it comes to your research, sort of what challenges do you face and how exactly do you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, definitely because I'm balancing research along with classes, and other clubs and activities and that sort of stuff. Also want to have like a social life as well. Time management is definitely the biggest thing. I feel like everything in research you can learn by reading papers and all of that, but the one biggest thing that you have to learn overall, low-key, like just as a person in general, is time management. You have to be able to put 100% into all the things that you do. So, like if you're overcommitted, you have to maybe like drop a class or drop like maybe a club that you're doing if you're really interested in research. So, that's the biggest thing I'd say.
Makes sense. Also noticed that you have a lot of experience when it comes to teaching. So I was just wondering sort of what originally inspired you to get teaching, to start teaching, and sort of like how did you get started, as well as what sort of like maybe strategies do you use when it comes to teaching your students?
Yeah, so basically over the summer I was an instructor for a summer camp called and I'm from Fair. like a local camp in the area. But basically, I taught robotics and math and coding and that sort of stuff. But what inspired me to teach robotics to those students at a young age was in high school, like I said, I was on the robotics team. And in addition to building a robot, um, we also had a side program called Growing Up with Robots that me and our team founded. And basically, we just offered classes like robotic demo sessions for just kids in the area that are like underrepresented in the robotics field. So I got a lot of my teaching experience or like gained a lot of interest in teaching from starting GUR, Growing Up with Robots. So yeah, that led me to just apply for the summer job. I got it. I got to spend time with a lot of amazing kids, and that was super great. So yeah.
That sounds amazing. And I was just wondering, like, from all of your experience, whether it's like research or like teaching, sort of what sort of skills have you really developed and how has that really impacted, like, maybe your perspective or your life as a student?
Yeah, I think a lot of people say like engineers are super introverted, like we just stay inside, we don't touch grass, that sort of stuff. But I feel like communication and being able to talk to people is one of the biggest things. If you can't communicate what you can do, like no matter how smart you are, that's not going to come across to other people. You're not going to be able to tell other people what your ideas are, no matter how cool or amazing they are. So communication is definitely one of the biggest things. And it just makes things a lot smoother to be able to talk to your team, be able to talk to people, be able to like pitch your ideas as an engineer to people who can like fund your projects or take you in for research or something like that. Again, time management, definitely one of the biggest things I've learned as well. As for technical skills, um, I feel like a reading comprehension, definitely with research, you have to read through so many different papers, write lit reviews for everything. So just being able to read something and understand what it is really important. And that's something that I lean towards after researching and teaching and all of that. So yeah.
Sounds good. And also, I was just curious, like, do you have any plans like post-graduation and maybe what you want to do like with your career in the future?
Yeah, I'm really interested in research. I did a little bit of it in high school. I'm doing more of it now. But I'm also really interested in entrepreneurship. Um, I think building something and being able to put it out into the world is super cool. So one of the biggest things that I want to do as of now is work at an early stage startup or maybe found my own startup in robotics. So yeah, I'm still exploring, but that's definitely one of the things that I'm really interested in. So yeah.
That sounds really amazing. And then I guess sort of to end off, I was just wondering if you had any pieces of advice for high school students who are interested in robotics or engineering.
Yeah, I feel like as long as you're passionate and as long as you are determined to learn, um, you will be able to do it. I feel like people who say like, "Oh, I didn't get the job, I didn't like, get the club," it's because you didn't try hard enough. So just keep working towards it. Um, keep studying, keep reading books, join whatever you can. Cold email professors to get research. I don't know, start things in your club like I did with GUR. Just as long as you're passionate, you should be able to accomplish anything that you want. And that goes for everything besides, like not just in engineering, robotics, or teaching. So yeah, I would say also get your fundamentals down really solidly. Um, a lot of engineering and robotics, at least like electrical and mechanical, that sort of stuff, leans really heavily into physics. So just getting your basics down correct, is really important for engineering and robotics. As for teaching, I think just being able to have an open mind and like teach a variety of students is super important. I think like not everyone learns at the same pace. Not everyone will be uh, the same type of learner, the same type of be able to adapt to your teaching styles. So just being able to understand every individual student that you're teaching and being able to adjust your teaching methods to their needs is super important. So that's just some advice.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. And once again, like I really appreciate your insight and thank you for being able to make it and share your experience.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for reaching out. This was super fun.